My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast, a podcast that brings you exclusive interviews from experts all over the world with life changing work that you didn't even know existed. I'm your host, Prima Jope, a partner for those that are ready to take their life changing work in front of those whose life or business depends on it. Please follow or subscribe for more. Welcome back. Today is an amazing conversation. I am a strong believer that you don't have to choose in life. You don't have to choose work over happiness. You don't have to choose a job over your kids. You don't have to choose your husband over your personal time. Like you really don't never have to choose. You can have a good marriage and money and a good body, and you can be happy. And so I am so excited about Vicky, and I wanted to have a conversation with Vicky because I feel like that's the work Vicky does. You can be a mom and have an amazing job and be the best you can in your house as a wife and be changing life. You didn't have to choose one over the other. And so before we dive in, I wanted to really bring her on and explain the work she does because I feel like this work is so important in a busy world where there's so much noise and we don't know what to believe. I love Vicky because she teaches this from her own school of hard knocks. She's been there. She's done that. She's been in corporate, has had kids, and knows the struggle that happens for a corporate mom who also has a family and the level of negligence that can happen for them. She really understands the challenges of excelling both professionally and personally. At the moment, Vicky gives help on mindfulness, confidence building, leadership, wellness. Basically, the mind body spirit type of connection. Her work is for working moms who feel overwhelmed and unappreciated. The work she does is she empowers them to reclaim their power and define a meaningful and build a deep connection to themselves and those that they care about. Vicky is a corporate leader, a mother, a coach, an entrepreneur, and an executive. She's transformed her life from overwhelmed, stressful, to a fulfilled and balanced existence. She blends spirituality and personal development with practical tools. I love Vicky because she's not 100% woo or 100% science or 100% motivation. Let's do it. Like she's practical, as in she'll give you the tools. She's spiritual, as in she's in touch with the spiritual world. And she really is just all around someone that brings to the table what I love. Because whether you're spiritual, practical, or whatever way, you're going to find this work amazing. Vicky, welcome to the world's best kept secret. I'm truly honored that your work is on today, and I can't wait to dive in.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so delighted to be here. And thank you for the introduction. I'm going to start with a story. And my story begins a couple of years ago. So, really quick, I have an MBA. I was always very driven professionally. I also always knew that I wanted to have a family. And when my kids were younger, they're right now 14 and 11, my mom used to drill it into my head. Oh, oh no, you cannot be an executive and be a good mom. And so for many, many years, she really kept me believing in such a limited belief that I couldn't have a life of and that I had to choose and that it had to be a life of or. And a couple of years ago, at the end of COVID, I went through a ton of personal transformation, and we will delve into the details of how I overcame my limiting beliefs and the dark night of the soul and all of these things. But a couple of years ago, a company came along when I was ready to really step into my power and to really embrace the life that I knew I deserved. I knew I was an amazing leader.
Mm.
And yet the opportunity wasn't being given to me. But a couple of years ago, when the company came along, they're based out in California. I live in New Jersey.
Mhm.
And they started pursuing me to be the leader for the digital organization, leading a really big team with a globally distributed team. That meant travel, that meant more responsibility, right? That meant different time zones. When they came along and they started talking to me, the old me would have completely shied away from that opportunity and would have said, oh, you know what? I'm not really looking for anything. But instead, I leaned in. I
Mm.
leaned in because I knew I deserved this role.
Mm.
I knew I had earned my seat at the table. I
Mm.
knew I wanted to be the head of the department and that I could do an amazing job with it. I
Mm.
knew this is what I wanted. And you know what? I said yes. And I pursued the role. And the interviews went spectacularly well. It's just like, the universe just like holding you up and just carrying you through that experience.
Mhm.
In the end, when they made me the offer, only after I accepted the offer, I told my mom, I said, Mom, I'm going to start working out of New York City. That in itself started like an entire panic attack. What do you mean you're going to be in New York City? Right. And
Mm.
then I said, and I'm going to have to travel to California once a quarter. That means 4 trips a year.
Mm.
Um, and, instead of asking for permission for the life that I wanted to live,
Mm.
I told the people what I wanted and what I was going to do. And I was giving myself the permission to pursue the very thing that I wanted. Now, my kids and my husband, they all kind of were like, what do you mean? 4 weeks? That's an entire month out of the year, right? So they're doing that calculation. And I told them, I said, listen, girls, when I'm here for you and with you 100%.
Mm.
But you also have to understand that mommy really wants this job and it's going to feel so fulfilling for her. And you know what? When I was in an energy of acceptance and
Mm.
giving myself the permission and no longer asking anybody else, is this right for me? Should I do this? Oh, can I do this, please?
Mm.
That's when things aligned for me. And
Mm.
that's what I want to do for everybody else. And you know what? My relationship with my kids is that much better and that much stronger. My relationship with my husband, because I have found my voice. I opened up my throat chakra. I found my voice and I speak my truth.
Mm.
That has become stronger. And I absolutely love the life, the integrated life that I'm living right now. So that's my journey and that's my story.
I love it. Stop asking for permission and go out there and tell the world with kindness and love what you're trying to do. Not asking, oh, should I do this? Because people will talk you down, they'll talk you out of it. So why bother? I
Yeah.
love that story. So without making assumptions today, how do you help people? I never want to assume, like, how do you help people? I know you help the corporate mom that was like you, that feels like they have a big dream, but for some reason they feel guilty around stepping in and saying, I'm chasing my dream. I know that's the person you work with, but what do you help them with?
I love that. So, working moms and really working parents, but I
Mm.
really hone in on the mom experience because that's the experience I've lived and that's the experience I understand the most.
Mm.
What I hope these moms, they're overwhelmed,
Mm.
they're exhausted, they
Mm.
feel unseen.
Mm.
And so many times when I talk to my coaching clients, they say, Vicky, I'm so lonesome. They no
Mm.
longer have these deep connections because all they're doing is they're living in a life where they're pouring themselves into their family, pouring themselves into their kids, pouring themselves into their jobs. And you know what they're doing?
Mm.
They're some, they're overwhelmed, but they also live in this world of mom guilt. And one day I want to write a book that's called End Mom Guilt, because
Wow.
that's what kept me
Mm.
so small for so many years. That is what kept me in this life of or. Oh, if I spend an extra 2 hours for work, I will be a bad mom. I will be a bad wife. I will be this. I will be not be a good daughter who's 100% there for her mom.
Mm.
And I want to end that. It's
Mm.
time to end that. And that's what I do for women. But
Wow.
also, in addition to that,
Mm.
a lot of times, because of the overwhelm,
Mm.
they're like, you know, let's say they want to start a new business,
Mm.
they procrastinate on it.
Mm.
And the reason they procrastinate so many times is not because they don't have the time. Yes,
Mm.
there are time management techniques,
Mm.
but you always got to peel the onion back. It is
Mm.
because they have patterns of unworthiness.
Mm.
And it is that unworthiness that keeps you swirling. It is not the lack of time. And I will get into some practical ways in which we can overcome them and some
Mm.
examples of what I've done with my coaching clients and where they are right now. But that is what we do. We
Wow.
go towards an
Mm.
integrated, peaceful, joyous, fun, fulfilled
Mm.
work-life balance.
I love it. I feel like it's the right time for me to ask about your beautiful process of taking me from this life of, oh, I can't do this and that, can't do this and this. The guilt, oh my God, I'm gonna be a bad mom, bad husband, I don't know, whatever. And moving to this place of this is what I want, and I'm telling the world, I'm telling you who my loved people that this is the life I'm after, and you're welcome to support me, or you're welcome to watch me thrive. Take me through that beautiful process of taking someone from a place of, I don't know, I can't start that yet because my kids are not yet, this age, to I'm doing it one step at a time. I'm
Mhm.
doing this, I'm mothering and starting a business. Take me through that process. I feel like it's a very beautiful process that I know you have.
Yeah. So before I even tell you that, I'll tell you the journey that I've been on.
Mm.
So my journey was that a couple of years ago, it was COVID. And so it was
Mm.
that moment of stillness,
Mm.
forced having to meet yourself and having to see yourself because you're no longer busy. There was nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to buy,
Oh my
nothing
God.
to entertain yourself with, right? At least
Mm.
here in the United States, everything shut down and we
Mm.
didn't have the sunshine, right? Like it was just awful.
Mm.
And you know, it's that moment of reckoning, that moment of
Mm.
having to meet yourself in the deepest and the darkness, moments of loneliness and sadness. At least that was my experience. And do
Mm.
you know why I was so lonely and sad? I
Mm.
remember looking at myself and I remember looking at myself in the mirror and saying, who are you, Vicky?
Mm.
And that question cut me like a
Mm.
knife
Mm.
because I had no idea who I was. I had no idea what I liked. I had no idea what I wanted. I had no idea what I was capable of. All I saw was smallness, lostness, loneliness. I was not alone. I was surrounded by my family, by my children, but I was so deeply empty and lonesome. It's because I didn't know who the hell I was. Because I lost myself. I lost myself in everybody else's opinions of me. I
Mm.
lost myself in everybody else's opinions of the life I should be living. I lost
Mm.
myself in everybody else's permission slips of the life I ought to be living. So the very, very first step of
Mm.
my program is called Rediscover You. And I put in parentheses, and that is because we think we're rediscovering ourselves.
Mm.
Truly, you're discovering yourself. Because when was the last time you asked yourself, who am I? What life do I want to live? What brings me joy? What
Mm.
brings me joy? So that's why the first step is meet you. Meet you.
Mm. I love it.
The next step is be limitless because part of that story that we created The old self is that
Mm.
at least I did, is that I am this small, limited self, this little person who's not really capable, who needs her mommy and who needs her husband and who needs like limitation, limitation, limitation. So,
Mm.
hey, let's change that story. And then the third step in that first stage,
Mm.
we're going to end that loneliness,
Mm.
that deep sense of emptiness. And the reason being is because you don't know who you are. And when you know who you are and you can face yourself and you can spend hours by yourself, lost in the forest, walking on the beach,
Mm.
you no longer have that feeling of emptiness and loneliness. And I'm going to end this stage with one quick study. So there was a study that was conducted, maybe you've read about it, and they said, hey, we'll give you two choices. You'll either receive an electric shock or you will be alone by yourself for 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, people opted to be alone for 15 minutes. But after that 15 minutes was up, they said, no, I'd rather receive the electric shock. And so
Wow.
majority of the people in the study went on to ask for the electric shock just so that just so that they no longer had to sit by themselves for 15 minutes.
Whoa.
That is that.
Oh my
How
God.
sad is that?
Mm. How
And
bad
that's
is
where
that?
mindfulness and all of these other tools come in. But that's just the first stage. I have two more stages as part of my
So
program.
what is the first stage? I thought there was three stages: rediscover,
Yes.
you, be limitless, and loneliness. You're saying it's one step.
That's just the first stage. I have three stages. So you first discover yourself, then you learn
Mm.
how to manage your time, and then you learn how to integrate your work and life. But every single stage has three steps in it because we
Mm.
dive deep and we go both practical and energy. So we look at your patterns, but
Mm.
we also I teach you the tools and the techniques in the practical world to do, but in order to do, you have to be, right? So that's where I
Mm.
combine both mindfulness and spirituality with the
Mm.
practical tools and applications of what you would do. And so the program has 9 steps, but the first step is absolutely critical and crucial.
So the first step is rediscover you.
Yes.
Second step is manage your time. What is the
Yeah.
third step?
Integrate your work and life. So to integrate your work, so let me tell you super quick. So in the
Mm.
management time, we
Mm.
look at how to end the mom guilt.
Mm.
So when you learn how to end the mom guilt, you're going to be operating and acting and showing up in the world really differently. I'm
Mm.
going to teach you how to create new badass habits. So a
Mm.
lot of it is from the book Atomic Habits. We look at, Nir Eyal. We learn from some of the luminaries who have studied this.
Mm.
We also learn how to eliminate procrastination because procrastination goes back to self-worthiness.
Mm.
Then there are tools such as time boxing your time, like set a 20-minute timer and just go and do what you got to do. You would be amazed with how much you could get done in 20 minutes. I had one client. She kept
Mm.
saying, Vicky, I'm so unfulfilled in my corporate job. I really want to start a new company and I want to do this. And then I'm like, then why don't you do it? She's like, oh, because I have to spend time with my kids. I don't have time. I have to clean. So 1,000 different excuses.
Mm.
This is where this time management, manage your time came through me. And I
Mm.
said to her, I said, really? Okay. I said, let's break out your time. Let's break it out. Tell me your schedule. I wake up at 5, I walk the dog, I eat, I prepare lunch for my kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
Mm.
She drops off her kids at daycare at 7:30 or 8. Work
Mm.
doesn't start until 9:30. Well, guess what? 8 to 9:30 is an hour and a half of time. Then
Mm.
she goes on to say, I finish work at 4 and I have to pick up my kids at 6. So I rush over at 4:15 to go pick up my kids. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why are you rushing to go pick up your kids immediately? She's like, oh, because like otherwise I'm going to be a bad mom guilt. I go, really? So what would happen if you would pick up your kids at 5:45? Oh, that is so late, mom guilt. I said, well, what if we build in time between 4:15, so you take a 15-minute break, and 5:30, and you use that time for yourself to build that business, to do a LinkedIn post, to set up your LLC, whatever the steps are that she needs to go through. Oh, really? Yeah. What? And by the way, set a timer for 25 minutes and just work for 25 minutes. Give that gift of time to yourself. Then she goes on to tell me how on Fridays she doesn't work half the day. Oh, really? Why, that's another 5 or 6 hours that you have to yourself, right? She had ample time. And then when we started to peel back the onion, it was mom guilt, but it was also, but Vicky, I feel like my idea has already been done before. Okay, there are 1,000 coffee shops, 1,000,000 ice cream parlors, there are 300,000 coaches. But if you have that idea, then someone needs that idea. There is a receiver. If you have something to give, there is a recipient on the other side of that equation. Otherwise, that idea, that inspiration wouldn't be flowing through you. And that's where that self-worthiness comes through. So that's my manage your time step, right? And then we go into integrating your work and life. And that's when I start saying, hey, ladies, this is when we start reclaiming your fun and your passions. So because in the first stage, you started to identify who you are, what you want to do, what life you want to live, how you want to wake up, how you want to feel when you wake up in the morning, what brings you actual joy. So you know what? I have another story. Do I have time for another story?
Of course.
Okay. So during COVID, I had this moment after I had gone through meet yourself. Who am I? What do I want to do? Right? I had this moment where I started signing up for classes. So I took a baking class. I started running a lot. I ran a half marathon. I wanted to try pottery. I wanted to try tennis. And I remember sitting with my family. So this is when things started to open up. And I said, listen, guys, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to be gone in the evenings because I'm going to be taking these classes. I will never forget this conversation. We're sitting around the table and there's dead silence after I announced this, because how dare I spend time on myself? And I remember my little one going, great, who's going to do my homework with me? Then my older daughter goes, oh, wonderful. So if I need help with my homework, you're not even going to be around. Mom guilting me, mom shaming me. My husband goes on to say, oh, wonderful. So we're basically never going to see you. I'm like, really? So an hour and a half on a Tuesday and an hour and a half on a Thursday, 3 hours out of 7 days, and you're never going to see me, even though I spend all of my free time with you? I was so hurt and so angry. I got up from the dinner table and I just walked upstairs because I didn't want to see any of them and I didn't want to talk to any of them. Because they didn't want me to reclaim my fun and passions. But guess what, lady? You deserve it and you need it in your life. And let me tell you where I am in my journey now. So my daughter is 14. She and I take aerial silk classes together now on Saturday morning. At first, she used to call me crazy. She was like, Mommy, you're so crazy. I'm like, well, then join my crazy. Come and join my crazy. She has so much fun. She and I are up at 8 o'clock on Saturday mornings to go take these classes. And then we get Starbucks afterwards. I do pottery classes with her now. With my little one, I go to all of her soccer games. And afterwards, we have a tradition. We get donuts or ice cream or something. Like we have traditions, right? And I am incorporating the life I want to live, bringing my kids into the world. Not only that, but at work, I have so much fun. I launched a tea business, a loose leaf tea business. The people at my job are like, Vicky, I want to try your loose leaf tea. I'm like, all right, sending it over to you, right? I'm having fun because I'm doing the things I want to do, but I'm integrating it. It's not just me, I'm sharing it with the world. But the more I have, the more I have to give because my cup is full. I'm embracing my badassery. That's my second step in that stage. And then my third step is be unstoppable. And do you know what being unstoppable feels like? It's when you are in your own frame. It is when you're giving yourself your own permission slips. It is when you are going from exhausted where you started to being completely unstoppable because you're bold and you're unleashing all the hidden potential within you.
Wow. What was the
And that's
first one? Integrate your work life. The
yeah,
three. Number two is unleash your borders. Three is
be
be
unstoppable.
unstoppable. But what is the first one?
Reclaim your fun and passion.
Reclaim your fun and passion. Wow. I really love this. I am going to try and recap the process. And I want you to, in the end, say, oh my God, you missed this. I want you to tell me what I've missed after I'm done. I'm going to take a minute, recap this, and I want you to tell me what I've missed. Cool?
Okay,
So this is
sure.
how we move from mom guilt, can't do this because of plan, I can't do this and this. Like you're stuck in that place of you feel too small, you feel your ambitions are choked, you feel like you need permission from your kids, from your husband, from whoever to just have the life you want. And you feel like being a mom is a trap of like, you really can't do the thing you want without feeling guilty. And so Vicky has a 3-step process. And so each step has 3 parts. So she has 3 pillars. Number one is rediscover yourself, which is more like meet yourself. Who are you really? Like, who are you? What do you want? 2 is manage your time. We all have 24 hours in a day. There is an hour, 2, 3 to do whatever you want. 3 is integrate your work life. Integrate. So 1, rediscover yourself. 2, manage your time. 3, actually integrate the work, the life you want in your everyday life, in the things you're already doing. And so if I go back and try to give the 3 that she put under each of them, number 1 was rediscover you. I think I picked meet you, be limitless,
Yes.
like change that story of smallness and go back to being limitless, and then end the loneliness. I think I missed one part on rediscovering yourself. What is the 3rd part? Be limitless, end the loneliness, and then what?
No, you got it. Meet you, the first
Meet
step.
you. So meet
Yeah.
you. You really can't do much. You can't build the life you want if you don't know who you are. Life has a way of slapping us, making us feel small. And maybe along the way, we've picked up definitions of who we are, and they're not serving us. And so the first step is really to meet you at your highest and go, okay, what did God create me to be? The second one is change that story. You're limitless. And unless you tell yourself that you're limitless, you're going to be fitting in a box of whatever people decide that you should be. 3 is ending the loneliness. How do we end the loneliness again? Oh
Okay.
yes, the electric shock. We have to get
Well,
we have to get mindful enough so that when we are in that experiment, we don't choose the electric shock. So I think the good example is if you were left alone for 30 minutes or you had the option to get electrified, which one would you choose? And if you're leaning more into the other one, there's work to be done. Of course, there's tools, there's modalities and everything to help you along each step. So when I say them, I think for me, my head is going, wow, my job is to say yes. The how does not belong to me. The how it belongs to Vicky. She's the one who knows how these processes and systems and tools work. Manage your time. I'm a strong believer that everyone has the same amount of hours in the day. So if you can't get the things that you want to get done, maybe you don't want them. Maybe they're not as important as you. Maybe there is something beyond I don't have time, you know? And so I loved that. Number 1 that she picked up is the mom guilt. You're probably not doing it, not because you don't have time, but because you have a definition or an incline that makes you a bad mom. I like that. You're probably not doing it, you're procrastinating, not because you don't have time, because you don't feel worthy or whatever reason. There's another reason why you are not doing what you're trying to do. So end the mom guilt so you can start doing the things you want. 2, integrate some new badass habits. So like what
yeah.
habits can you put in today to begin living whatever your definition of the bad badass life is really.
Mhm.
Three, eliminate procrastination, which really, based on what she explained, can come from the energy or a deeper feeling that is holding you back from doing what you're doing and nothing to do with time. So I love this time management, and she goes practical and gives tools on how to actually do it. And so I love this part, because I believe time is not the problem. It is the perceived problem. And so she like gets an onion and peels it and gets the real issue. What is beyond this time complaint? Because
Yeah.
if we looked at your day, we would find time. Every mom has time. The problem is if you don't have a proper clarity of who you are, what you want, or even don't believe you deserve what you deserve, or if mom guilt is really swallowing you up and you decide it's safer to say I'm busy, you know. And the third one was integrating these things in your work and life, reclaiming your fun and passion without apologizing, putting your foot down and letting those around you who are used to you drowning yourself know that you're starting to change that, which is what she told us about her family when everyone had something to say and she was like, no, I'm actually going to do this. So I love that part, which is like, it won't be smooth. People will talk you down. People will make you feel guilty. Your kids are used to seeing you kill yourself. They'll probably expect it. Your husband is used to seeing you 24 hours a day. And maybe 1 hour looks like they never see you again. These things will happen. But we have to put our foot down and say, no, I'm doing this for me, because if I don't do it for me, I'm not good for you. If I can't take a minute, an hour for myself, I'm not good for you. Two was
Embrace your badassery. Yes.
embrace your
Embrace it.
badassery. I can't remember, what was that about?
It's going from self-doubt to a badass, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
You
believe
you
that
feel,
everything is
yeah.
conviction. Yeah. I now I
Yes.
remember this part. Everything is conviction. Whether
Yes.
you think you're a badass or not, you're right. You know, whether you believe you're this thing or this thing, you're right. It is really all in the head, all in your belief. Then two, become unstoppable. I love what you said. When you said if you're feeling called to do something, that's because there is someone praying for that thing. I am really like a big believer of that. You wouldn't have a desire, you wouldn't have a drive, you wouldn't have this thing to do something that nobody is crying about. And so the reason I did this stage words best kept secret is because there's so many amazing experts that are struggling to share their message. And so I don't know, something kept waking me up. You have to do this, you have to do this. But now that I'm doing it, I am really seeing how we can help people. So if you have something on your heart that you're driven to do, that is because somebody's praying every night for that. So it doesn't matter that there's 2 million plus podcasts in the planet. I started a podcast 2 months ago and it's really changing lives. So those are the three parts, the system. Vicky, what did I miss there?
You got it all. You're amazing. I don't know how you took such you really encapsulated it. I love that. And I will share one more story with you. Now, this happened more recently. And I know I keep saying the old me and the new me, and really there's only the now. There's just the now, right? So the now me, right? What happened was, and this is just a small microcosm of the way that you shift, right? The way that you change. I at one point was getting a lot of coaching clients. Now, just to paint a picture, I have a full-time job leading an entire department at work. So it's like a very full-time job. This is not like I have a lunch hour. I don't even have a lunch hour, right? So I have a lot of responsibility. So I'm leading a really full job. I have all of my evening activities that I want to do, right? Because that's also important, fulfillment. I launched an online loose leaf tea company, which I also absolutely adore. And at one point, I was getting a lot of coaching clients. Like coaching clients were falling out of the sky, and everybody was wanting to work with me, and a lot of one-on-one, right? And I was just like really excited because I will work 24 hours a day because like it's my passion space, right? Like, so I divide up my day, I divide up my time, right? And it's like so important to me because coaching is like my soul space. This is like my, right? It's like in here, I'm pointing to like my solar plexus, heart space. Long story short, we're driving and I go, oh my God, I got another coaching client to sign up. And literally, my family couldn't even celebrate that anymore because they were like, because, I would literally have coaching clients at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 6 p.m., right? Like before or afterward, like I'm like balancing all this stuff, right? And my husband goes, he's like, I don't know what you're so excited about. I was like, he's like, I don't see it. He's like, isn't it enough? Isn't anything enough? Right? And I got so angry and I turned to him and the kids were in the back. And I don't try to, like, we don't argue a lot, but I turned to him and I said, you know what? I really need you to celebrate me right now. And I need you to celebrate this moment with me because it's taken me a couple of years to get to this point where I'm getting the clients, where I'm doing all right, and where I'm this momentum. And I said, and I really need you to celebrate this as my partner. I want you to celebrate this. And he said, I can't celebrate it. He's like, I'm not happy with how much you're working. And I said, listen, but I'm doing what I love. And I started getting like a little upset. And then he got a little testy with me. And he's like, oh, Mrs. Meditating Zen lady. So he's married. He's like, okay. He goes, I thought that you tell everybody how they need to be Zen and how they need to be mindful. And so he started to like, look at me. And I said, you know what? The other thing I teach authenticity. I also teach speaking your truth. And right now, I'm very hurt by your behavior and I really don't like it. And I don't want to talk to you. And I turned my head and I stopped talking to him. I said, because I also teach having the confidence and the vulnerability and the authenticity to speak your truth. And I'm sharing it with you from my heart space and you're not validating it. And I don't want you in my space right now. And I turned my head and the kids were like, oh, Daddy, she told you. Right. And this is all happening in a car and we're driving and it's tense. And sometimes you have to have the difficult conversations in your life.
For sure.
But if you don't, you're going to start hitting up against your upper limit problem. So have the tough conversations with yourself and have the tough conversations with others. But you can only do that when you embrace your badassery. And that's what I mean by that. It's when you have self-confidence to be the you that you are.
I love it. Having the confidence and the ability to literally not allow anybody get in the way, no matter how much they mean to you. I love that. Vicky, how do you help people? I'm like going, oh my God, she is amazing. Tell me how you help people. If someone was like, oh my God, just tell me already, what do you have to offer? How do you help people now that, things can get out of hand?
Absolutely. So I have my super mom coaching program. So I do this both in group settings. I also do it one-on-one. One-on-one, you do it in a much more tailored way, obviously, right? And there are pros and cons to both. So what I've noticed is that in a group setting, it's really great because the women, we build a community. We also have that accountability, right? Like there is a little bit of homework that I give you as part of the program because you have to identify the things that you want to do. You have to identify the classes that you will take. You have to, right? So we have accountability partners. We also have that group setting. So a lot of like support, right? And there's that connection with other women. One-on-one, we dive deep, right? We go deep and it's you and I take your schedule and we rip it to shreds and we figure out your time. We get underneath all your patterns. So one-on-one is different, and one-on-one is a more premium offering, obviously. But group setting also very effective. And we meet for 1.5 hours once a week. And that's how we go through the program.
I love it. I mean, I love the one-on-one. I love the group because people have different preferences. My best preference is always I want one-on-one to start, and then I want group to kind of keep, because you have to keep like a certain frequency. You have to keep in that space. You have to keep in that energy. And so I personally love diving into one-on-one, uproot stuff, get things out of the way. And then I think long term, I love to be in that place of people who are at the same level and just want the same thing. More like uprooting root, like the weeds. And so that's how I look at your work. Like you get to this place and then you just keep the weeds out. I love that space. I love. So if I was thinking, oh my God, I want either the community, which is a group setting, or I want the customized one-on-one on my schedule, what is the best step forward? What should I do to tap into the opportunity?
Absolutely. So I have a form that you can fill out. If you want to join, you can email me directly, reach out to me. But whether you're going to be in the group setting or we're going to be working one-on-one beforehand, I have a call and we go through several questions together. Part of my process is making sure that my offering is the right thing for you, that I am the right coach for you, and you are the right client for me to be partnering with and to be working with. Because at the end of the day, I'm here to change your life. And we have to figure out if that is what we're going to do together, because this is a partnership. I have my work to guide you, to coach you, to get you through the process, but you have your work. You have to come with an open heart, an open mind, a willingness to be courageous, a willingness to cry, a willingness to face your darkness. Because you know what? Life is a yin and a yang, if you think about it. Integration. It is both. And let's look and let's have the courage. And I am only looking to work with clients who have the courage, who have the desire, who are willing. I don't expect you to know anything, but I expect you to come with a willingness. And so we have to make sure, right, that we're right for each other. This is a relationship. For sure. And that's what that call is all about.
Yeah. I love it. I think coaching is it's such an intimate experience that I would never want anyone to take on a client unless they were like an energetic match. It just really doesn't serve nobody. The way I look at coaching, really, for the last 4 years, I've coached, and I look at it as a win-win, I win. And so if my direct approach, my no BS approach is going to be a problem for you, then maybe I'm not a coach for you, Like I'm very simple, straightforward. Let's cut out the noise and do the thing. There's a lot of people who know things and they don't do them. And so for me, my work is always like, okay, all these things, you're not doing them. So how are we supposed to move forward? And I'm kind of really straightforward. And I would not take on a client who is highly sensitive to directness, like to direct response, because I don't know how to sugarcoat anything. And so it would be a disservice if I hire someone who is 1,000% sensitive, because every minute, it would just not be good. So I really love that. And tell me, what's my next step? If I'm thinking, oh my God, I want all of that, what should I do?
So I have my Google Sheet that they can go through, and they can sign up, and then we will have a call and we will have a conversation and we will see what's a better fit for them, the group coaching or the one-on-one coaching.
Oh, okay, cool. So there is a link that we'll put in the show notes, whether you're watching on YouTube or just following us on a podcast platform. Look out for that. We'll put many ways. Of course, we'll put Facebook, we'll put Instagram, we'll put social media, we'll put website. But there is a link that you can use to get in and have a conversation with
Yeah.
Vicky to see, one, are you a fit? And if you're a fit, two, which of her many ways is going to be the way that is perfect for you. So look out for those links in the show notes and be sure to schedule yourself in. I think there's an application first. And so be sure to fill that. And Vicky should hopefully get in touch with you to have that conversation. I love her work, and I think that it will really change life. Vicky, I think you've been amazing. What is it that we left out that you feel someone needs to know? What is the thing maybe people ask you about all of the time? What is the one thing you feel we've missed out that is so essential to this conversation?
I don't think it's that we missed out. I think it's that I want to remind you.
Mm.
I want to leave you with these parting words.
Mm.
You are so worthy. You are enough. And every morning, tell yourself, I am who I am, and that is enough. And those words still bring me to tears.
Mm.
I am enough. Let that be your mantra.
What a way to end. Before we finish off this conversation, as always, we're building a community. I believe the world's best kept secret podcast. This space that we're building is going to be one of the biggest, grandest, and most impactful stages for people with life-changing messages. My goal is to cut marketing efforts for coaches by half. My goal is that you can listen to this episode and know everything the coach has to offer and look at them in action and decide, oh, that's my expert and that's not. My goal is like I can go in the world and scan the best of the best and bring them and have them talk about their work in a way that gets you so clear you cannot misunderstand them. And you can be a part of this. You can be a part of this work. We had one subscriber 2 months ago. We have 500 now. And you are building this community. You can be a part by pressing subscribe or follow on any platform that you're on. Just look for the button. Is it follow? Is it subscribe? Is it rate? Do the 5 stars. Is it review? Give it a review. Whatever the platform is asking you to do, please do it if the person that you're listening to really blessed your day. But the most important thing you can do for me to achieve this goal of I want to take consulting and take it back how it should be. I'm from Uganda, and so we are like 10 years behind. And I understand consultancy as you come to my office to inquire, and we have the conversation of, am I good for you? Are you good for us? I did not grow up knowing marketing as go out there and market yourself out of this world. Market every day, tell everybody about you, talk about yourself. Like, I find that a lot of people who have a lot of things to offer, they paid the price and now they can't shout. Like, I feel like if you get a tin and you fill it with water, it cannot be as loud. And that is what I see with experts. A lot of experts have amazing work, but to get there, they had to sacrifice with their ability to be loud. And I feel like right now, online, the market wants them to go out there and scream on top of their lungs about what they do. That's the same reason why when you're sick, you go to the doctor. The doctor doesn't come out and find you. And so I want consulting to go back to what it should be, which is you see the expert, you want their work, and you consult with them. And I want these experts to be busy answering inquiries, because even that is not for them, but at least that's what I want them to do. You sit down, you answer inquiries, and you deliver. And so the goal of this podcast is to get these experts and help them become the consultants they are, which is they sit and answer queries and sign up people that they can help. And one by one, we change the world. And so how can you be a part of this? Think about the one person that needs to meet Vicky. Think about the woman that is changing the world, making moves, the corporate C EO, CTO, CFO, she's up there. But she's doing that at the expense of her kids, or she's doing that at the expense of her career, or she's more like a very good person up there in the job and is being swallowed up by mom guilt. She has this guilt of, oh, I'm spending a lot of time in office. Oh, I have, like, she doesn't have I can be the CEO and the badass mom and the best wife. And she doesn't know that she can have it all. This is the type of person that Vicky speaks to. So the way you can be a part of spreading her message is just sharing this episode with one lady that needs to be a badass in all areas of her life. This will beat marketing. It will beat adverts. It will beat anything that you can possibly do for Vicky. All the content Vicky can write can be washed away by just you deciding to share this message with one woman, who will decide to share it with another woman, who will it's just like a chain that never ends. Do me a favor and just share this message with just one person. If you're like, oh my God, this is me, but not right now, or this is not me, but I know my best friend, my cousin, my this or that, share this message. And together, I believe we can change the world one person at a time. I will end with this. You do not have to choose. It does not have to be either or. You can be this and this and this and this. And begins with you deciding that you deserve that and you're ready for that and you're open for that. One thing I'm learning in this spiritual world, which I'm very new to, is the what belongs to me. What do I want? The how does not. And so I personally have decided the how is not for me, but the what, I need to be clear. So be clear and give up trying to have the how. Be willing to unlearn what you have been told, because it's got anywhere, it's gotten you. And if you want different results, you're going to take a different direction or have a different way you think about things. I appreciate you hanging out today. You so deserve your flowers. Thank you so much. There's millions and millions of podcasts in the world. You chose this one, and I don't take this for granted. So I celebrate you, I honor you, and I will see you again very, very soon with yet another powerful message. Have a beautiful day. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the world's best kept secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.